Hello, and welcome to Worthy Watchers Weekly in virtual. Oh, sort of virtual. We're actually using Zoom and connecting over online services because, hey, coronavirus, keep your social distancing game. Isn't that right, Ransom?
It is.
Yeah.
You're correct.
So, if you weren't aware, this is the show where we go into depth on anything within the motion art medium: TVs, movies, video games, well, sometimes video games, etc. It's all game here. Of course, Ransom and Anthony are going to be running you through the events today, as always. And today, we thought we would kind of throw something out there after the response of all the theaters to coronavirus. I know, everyone. It's coronavirus all the time. But I do think it's important to talk about because some theaters are taking some surprising actions, I think, here, So let's start it up with a rundown of that. And then afterwards, we'll move on to a random piece of news that guy has us excited as Star Wars fans. And then we'll wrap it up with a rundown of what new movies are available on VOD.
All right.
Does that sound good, Ransom?
Sure. Are we throwing our worthy watch for people on quarantine?
Yeah, we'll probably throw them a worthy watch at the end, too.
All right. Sounds good.
Cool. All right, so to get things started off, one of the first things that I found today in terms of responses, and this was super cool, is and this is a report from HollywoodReporter.com, and it says Alamo Drafthouse unveils a $2 million relief fund for furloughed workers.
Wow.
Yeah, big package. And this is their company doing this. This isn't government assistance. This is the company doing this.
That's impressive.
Right? I think they're the only ones doing something this expansive. And I'm going to be paraphrasing this a little bit, but team members at company-operated locations will receive a supplemental 2 weeks worth of pay, and their health coverage will be covered through the end of April.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's
huge.
Yeah. I mean, I was just thinking about that yesterday. Like, I wonder how Alamo's going to be doing with this because they don't have a on-demand system like
No.
AMC or what some like local theater funds are doing.
Yeah.
So for them to just like go out of their way and be like, all right, all of our employees are like, they're going to be taken care of. That's really amazing.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think it's kind of it speaks volumes to, what they're doing as a company.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it speaks volumes to the care and attention that they have as people. And, there's something about the Alamo Drafthouse that I've always felt is personal, right? When you go to their theaters and they start that 30-minute extra time ahead of time to just give you some really random throwbacks that make sense for context in the film, it goes volumes that doesn't just extend to a love of movies, that extends to a love of people. And I think this speaks volumes to that being true.
It really does. And yeah, I have to agree with what you said before. Now that I hear Alamo's doing this, going out of their way to do this for their employees, that makes me want to take my money to them after all this is done.
It really does. And we'll talk about A-list as we go down the tabs list I have on my laptop. But I will say this. I didn't get the response from their CEO. Well, I did get the response from their CEO, but there was I guess like a side thing on Twitter that I had seen that apparently the CEO was still asking for like government assistance through all this. And the fact that Alamo's just doing this, like, that's incredible. It looks like it's being covered from their two heads, CEO, their founder and CEO, Tim League and Carrie League, right? So huge. And it was going to be a relief fund in partnership with the Emergency Assistance Foundation. So there is a little bit of help there, but it's kind of cool because they're seeded with a $2 million from their Alamo Community Fund that they already have, and they're just bringing that to all of their locations, So that's really cool. Great. And then, this is an interesting thing too, and I should have run down this a little bit more. It sounds like, additionally, 100% of the subscription fees from current season pass members, the service that they have there, that's going to go and be donated to the fund.
Nice.
Yeah, so really,
Yeah.
really cool. Let's move on to C Film Center, Denver. Denver's kind of
Yes.
big institute for, like, I guess, shared movie history and appreciation. This is a amazing place that's downtown off of Colfax for us here locally in Colorado, and I think this really exciting thing is happening here, and it's kind of cool. So, oh, why is it doing that? I want to read this statement specifically. Okay, I've got it here. So it says, this is direct from the assistant artistic director, Keith Garcia. And he says, "Dear constant watchers, this week has been a heartbreaking one for certain. Temporarily closing the C Film Center in an effort to slow the progress of this global pandemic will definitely have its merits in combating the urgent health situation we're currently living. But for Denver Film, it has come at the cost of the staff, the movies, and the community that we have spent so many years building into a strong, sturdy home. There is no denying that the joy and warmth of a movie theater, complete with a happy team at the helm and fresh popcorn filling the air, is truly the best way to enjoy a film. But as our current reality dictates for us to separate, we must find new ways to keep us connected via our beloved cinema, and we're experimenting with a couple of options that we hope you will take advantage of in the weeks ahead. First, make sure that you follow at the Denver Film and at Constant Watcher, agreed, over on Instagram and Facebook, as we're sharing recommendations to watch and keep us all entertained. We're also leading a series called See for Yourself. That's hilarious. Where we recommend one film a day that is easily streamable via a variety of services across many devices. So kind of doing what we sometimes do here with our Worthy Watches, which I think is cool. Share what you're watching and let us know what you think. The second and most interesting experiment begins today as we join with some of the creative and generous distributors who we've worked with for years to keep the films coming and support Denver Film at the same time. Kino Lorber, Oscilloscope, and Film Movement are offering some of their new titles, which were already booked to open at the C Film Center in the coming weeks, available for streaming, with a generous portion of the ticket price benefiting Denver Film during C's temporary closure. We will open these films every Friday while we are closed and provide the links to purchase a pass to a film. Through this new approach, we can keep bringing each of you and our community the best in art house, independent, world, and classic films. Again, this place is great for that in Colorado. There are some places like Landmark that do it to a degree, but I think C always has some of the best selections, and you really sometimes cannot find it anywhere else. When we return from this intermission, we will be looking at an unknown future in the movie industry and a new landscape for sure, but it is paramount that we continue to engage you with the biggest tool that we have to connect us, cinema. When we reopen, you have our promise that we will engage our physical theater screens like never before with a newfound appreciation for sitting together in the dark and keeping our heads held upwards watching movies. So coming soon, all that stuff. So I wanted to just read that whole statement out because I think it's super important for us here locally in Colorado. And it's really cool that now we have proof of local film cinema places like actually doing what needs to be done in order to get some of these new films that are coming out. Like, and I'm going to butcher the name right now, but Barracuda or whatever. But it's this really
Bakuar?
cool film. What's that?
Bakuar?
Yes, that.
Yes.
Thank you. That movie looks amazing, and I think that would be one of the independent movies that are totally. They have a hard enough time getting money, and that it would just be creamed right now under the certain circumstance if it weren't for things like this happening. So I think that that's super cool. And next week I plan on purchasing a ticket for it. I haven't tested out the feature yet, but I will.
Yeah, I think I'll do the same too. Because I mean, that's a really awesome thing for them to, and it's not like they're releasing like any of like the big like Hollywood movies. It's all of like the international films that really don't get the light of day that really should be getting the light of day.
Yeah, 100% agree. Like it's super cool, and I think stuff like this is very important to celebrate. So C Film Center, thank you.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to AMC. So this is a statement from their CEO with a few updates here and there. So our commitment to AMC Stubs members. So this is direct for that. As you likely know, AMC was so disappointed with our moviegoers with our moviegoers and employee teams to have to announce the temporary closure of all of our theaters nationwide in accordance with local, state, and federal guidelines regarding the coronavirus pandemic. We expect the situation could unfortunately last for like 6 to 12 weeks. And I think that as we move forward, that will probably get longer.
Yeah.
Anyway, especially with what we've seen over the last week with certain people still deciding to party and run around. And then, I mean, I visited the grocery store this morning or yesterday morning, and man, that was interesting, to say the least.
Right.
So, all AMC Stubs A-list member accounts have been automatically paused while our theaters remain closed. AMC Stubs Premier memberships that were scheduled to expire while theaters are closed will be extended for the amount of time that we are closed. AMC Stub points and rewards that were set to expire while theaters are closed will receive an extension for the amount of time that we are closed. And yeah, then they recommend AMC theaters on demand for some of the most recent titles, obviously to get you through the time. But it is good to know that, if you have these subscription services, AMC is just pause on all of them. So I think that that's, definitely best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Ransom?
Yeah, I'm glad that they weren't just like, oh yeah, we'll keep continuing your subscription service as you pay it through all this. But I mean, they can also survive off of having that on demand um, program that they have in their app now. So they don't need to worry too much about their membership costs because they still have that online access.
Right. And I think that speaks volumes for the difference of in the way that these two theaters are experiencing. So right now, Alamo Drafthouse, AMC on like same sides of the coin, so to speak. You've got AMC definitely member focused in that regard, but we're wondering what they're going to do for their employees. And then we've got Alamo Drafthouse that isn't not, member focused necessarily, but they are very dedicated to their employees' well-being. And you see them in their statement that we just spoke about, 100% of the proceeds from that subscription service are going direct to the employees to help them through that time. So I do think it's an interesting change of approach. Like, people are still paying AMC Alamo, or I'm sorry, Alamo Drafthouse for that subscription service, but it is going to a really good cause. So you could almost put it away in your mind like, oh, it's charity.
Yeah.
So hey, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I think for both, like they both have different approaches. I think one I definitely like best. I think it's really amazing that Alamo's doing that for their employees. But yeah, I mean both are they're definitely staying above water level.
Yeah, that's going to be super important going forward for sure.
Yeah.
Next up is a statement that I found from Landmark Theaters, and again, this is it's not all Colorado, but I know it's a huge one for Colorado. I'm not sure what other states, but here's what Landmark has to say about some things. A note to Landmark's guest about the coronavirus. They have a thing from the 13th, where Paul Serwitz just kind of talks about maintaining extremely high standards, taking great pride in the cleanliness of theaters. And, they're going to be wiping down seats following each showtime, cleaning services, including kiosks, door handles, concession stands. But that was on the 13th. They shortly followed that up that they were going to be doing a 50% maximum capacity per auditorium. And then they followed that up on the 16th with an update. With circumstances at an unprecedented level around the COVID-19 virus, and out of extreme caution for both of our customers and employees, Landmark is suspending all operations until further notice. And it was effective on March 17th. As a service industry, we believe we share the responsibility in doing our part to combat the spread of the outbreak. Landmark will be back to providing our customers and employees a healthy and safe environment as soon as it's possible. So nothing extreme from them or special, just a kind of a blanket statement to cover all, like, hey, we're closing down. I don't know
Yeah.
what the Landmark will do going forward because they don't list any partnerships like C Film is doing where they're going to try and get some revenue in this time. It's just closed.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I did not find one from Regal because I wasn't sure where exactly that was coming from, but I'm sure Regal has something similar to the Landmark. I would assume from previous experience with them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of wraps up all of the statements that I found and just kind of like general methods to operation going forward while we're stuck in social distancing times. So
Yeah.
I don't know, like overall I definitely think Alamo and C have some of the best approaches out there. I'm glad AMC though is at least suspending people's purchasing for AMC A list, especially if that's not going to go direct to their employees like Alamo is doing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a crazy time, but it's good to see that that the movie theaters are really trying to find ways around this, so that when we
At
all
least
come
some.
out of this, yeah, that when we can all come out of this and finally go back to seeing movies in theaters, they'll be able to still be there.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. So yeah, good stuff there. I was just going to follow that up with a VOD rundown of what's kind of coming out generally to VOD services. However, did we want to do that first, or did we want to interject the Star Wars story?
Let's stick with the
Coronavirus.
movies first. Yeah.
So the VOD list that I've got, I'm looking at the Wrap right now, and they had a list from that Thom Gear. Yeah, sorry, that's Thom Gear. Okay, I'm reading that right. March 20th, and this was updated at 9:30. So it has a list of that's got Trolls World Tour. It's coming out for digital download on April 10th, the same day that it was supposed to land in theaters. It's going to be a VOD exclusive now, obviously. Birds of Prey is now going to be on demand on the 24th, right? So that's coming up. The Hunt, again, it was one of the Universal releases that's going to be coming on the 20th. That just happened. Same thing with The Invisible Man, and same thing with Emma. So all of these are now available as of the 20th on things like Amazon and similar services like that. I did purchase both Invisible Man and Emma, and it's kind of like a standard rental where it's available for a 48-hour period after purchase. So I need to finish Invisible Man because when we were watching it, Katie's like, no way, too scared right now, gotta go to something else. We watched Emma instead, and Emma was really good.
Nice.
Yeah. We've also got Bloodshot. It's going to be coming on VOD the 24th. I still believe this is the Lionsgate biopic starring KJ Apa as a Christian music star, Jeremy Camp. It's going to be 27th for that one. The Way Back. That's the Ben Affleck movie, that we probably all heard about. It's going to be available on the 24th as well as Bloodshot, right? And then Onward is coming out on the 20th, right? So it's out right now on things like Amazon and stuff. But Ransom's prediction is ringing true about how Disney Plus was going to be start doing things. And yep, you guessed it. April 3rd, it's coming for the service right away. So that's kind of cool. Sonic the Hedgehog is also going to be doing a VOD. I would call it early release in this case, and it's going to be on the 31st. So, hey, maybe if you didn't see Sonic beforehand, you can see it now and pay the animators.
Yes, pay them.
So that kind of brings out all of the various VOD releases to a close. Everything else is still kind of up in the air from at least what I understand. So I'm sure as the weeks go on and not all movies can, push their dates and push their dates and push their dates, they're going to just come out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Any of those movies you're gonna be catching on demand for the $20 asking price? It seems.
Um, Possibly. I am interested in the way back. Um, I'll definitely be catching Onward. You know, we got the app, so
Yeah, we
uh,
can all watch that one at least.
yeah, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, we
Um,
got to find something like Netflix's ability to watch together.
yeah, their party. We should try that out sometime soon.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah,
I'll rewatch Castlevania with you.
heck yeah,
Yeah, for like the fifth time.
yeah,
So yeah, I think that's kind of wraps up everything that we've got with coronavirus right now, and the industry. It's it's like it's all up in the air, but it's kind of cool that what we were thinking a few weeks ago is coming to pass, and that theaters and distributors are reacting in an appropriate manner to at least get these movies some money in the back end. I hope that it makes some of their movie costs back,
hmm
but I know that there's a little bit of a difference between seeing something in theaters versus paying on demand for a $20 asking price. I
yeah,
think people are going to have to adjust their idea of what the costs are for that reason, because when people think of a rental, they think of, like $3,
yeah,
$5, at maximum, not 20. So I will be curious to see what the statistics are coming out after the next week.
yeah. And it will be hard too with people, being unemployed and not
Yeah.
getting any revenue coming in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all about it's all about being very selective on what you are looking for in a movie.
All right. And that's the kind of the cool thing about C Film Center. Like, you're paying C Film Center direct. And compared to those $20 releases for those VOD movies that we were just talking about, those tickets, from what I saw, $12.
Mm,
So that enters into a new kind of economic competitiveness, I guess you could say, because now the asking price will be a little bit lower. So and maybe it's kind of a cool thing. What if independent movies through things like C Film Center end up starting to make more money than the bigger releases? Wouldn't that be
that
cool?
that would be really awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can only hope that hey, everybody who listens to this, go to See Film Center, share that article with your friends, get that knowledge out there, because that's the way that independent cinema is gonna move forward in this crazy time.
Yeah. Definitely check out their website. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Ransom, did you want to talk about Rosario Dawson?
All right. So the shining light in all of the news that we've seen so far.
Put coronavirus aside, think about cool shit.
Cool shit. Mainly Star Wars. Oh, Rosario Dawson being cast as Ahsoka Tano for Mandalorian season 2. This
Yeah,
this is just the most wildest thing I could ever have imagined to come into news during this time.
right?
Just like number one, the fact that it's a casting news, where we don't have like any new entertainment coming out other than like the video releases. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that like well and like also all of production being halted, the fact that they're just like releasing this information out to the open just like during all this time, helping people get their minds off of everything else. That's really cool.
Yeah,
um
amazing.
yeah, and then the fact that they are bringing in Ahsoka Tano from Clone Wars, from Rebels, into Mandalorian, connecting the animated universe into the live action universe. Finally.
We've wanted that for so long.
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh.
And it's like proof of what we were saying. Like, yeah, we got a little bit of that with the dark saber at the end of
Mm-hmm.
season 1. Little spoiler, sorry about that. I won't say who has it, but it's kind of cool that that's now extending to also characters as well, because the way Rebels ended, and I'm going to try and avoid spoilers as best as I can here, but let's just say that Ahsoka lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's just say that there is a interesting thing that they could connect to with now moving on from the Outer Rim to the Beyond Reaches, which could have even more implications as we go into exploring how the First Order came to be. And I remember one of the concepts of this show being that, hey, yeah, it's going to be about Mandalorians, but it also will have ties into how the origins of the First Order came to be. And I think that that's super important
Yeah.
because I think with the third trilogy, let's put it away, that universe, I think that there's so many gaps that need to be filled in to help big fans like me feel a little bit better about some of the choices that were made in that era. And I think this is one of the best ways to do it. you know
Hmm.
they'll have to age her up a little bit, but I'm excited to see Rosario in this role.
Oh yeah.
But hey, Ashley Eckstein, let's take a moment to also be like,
Oh
Ashley
yeah.
Eckstein, you made that character what it is so that we can have this now going forward. And
Oh yeah.
I assume Rosario will live up to the challenge.
Oh, I'm sure she will. Yeah. Um, I'm very excited for that. But I also do want to say that at the end of Rebels, we did see Ahsoka Tano go on a bit of a, or at least have an idea of going on a mission with a other Mandalorian.
That's right. Yeah, right. So it introduces this idea of like, well, who else is going to be cast in that in certain other roles, and it would be interesting to see. I don't want to like get into it too much here, sadly, because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't finished Rebels. But I hear you. I know what
You
we're
should finish Rebels.
really you should, and for anyone who has finished, you know what we're talking about. And I don't know. I can't even think about who I would see in that role right now. It's so hard
Right.
for me to imagine. So Rosario Dawson was someone that like fans had thought about now for like years and years and years, and it seemed like just a solid choice all around. So that one is not surprising to me, and it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas that other character, I'm like, and then the third character, if someone is found,
Hmm.
like it's hard to see. And then that
Yeah.
introduces the possibility of a fourth character. And I'm like, Mads Mikkelsen, I don't know. I don't know. So we'll see. It's too much things up in the air. I don't want to even get into that whole explosion level. That would be a cast in and of itself.
Yeah.
So, but it is exciting news, and it's a nice welcome change to all of this coronavirus stuff that we've been talking about for the last couple weeks.
Hmm.
And I think going forward, as we get further with the coronavirus, like if there are big things in the industry, hey, maybe we throw out a quick update. But I'm kind of thinking maybe this is the time to go back into our worthy watches, because I'm like, maybe it's time to start celebrating some movies while everyone's fucking at
Oh
home.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So, with that being said, what's your worthy watch this week, Anthony?
Nice segue, Ransom. Man, a worthy watch this week. I finished Altered Carbon season 2.
Oh,
So
nice.
I can say that I would recommend it. There is also another thing on Netflix that's like Altered Carbon reslaved. It's like an animation, like an hour, 12 minutes. It's kind of reminds me of Matrix Revolutions in a way, because it kind of is a part of the
Animatrix.
story. However, it's not a ton of just short stories. It's a single solitary tale, and it is about the main character. I'll just say that much. It is an interesting time frame. I don't know what it does to the lore necessarily after watching it. And while some of the animations are cool, I think the performances are a little lacking from some
Mm.
people. So it's I wouldn't recommend that one entirely. Just go watch season 2 of Altered Carbon. And while that season is not as good as the first, it does lead up to an interesting third outing, and I can't wait to see what they do with it.
Nice.
Yeah, Ransom, what's your worthy watch?
All right, so I'm gonna give two,
Ooh,
just because like one is not really like uh one is more serious, one is more comical. Depends on what you're looking for during this whole craziness. Um, so one of them is continuing with the FX on Hulu stuff. Really big fan of all that. They started this new show called Dave,
Dave.
which Dave, and it's based off of the YouTube rapper Little Dicky.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like written by him, produced by him, and it's like like kind of like a behind the scenes of like what he does, just like in his like in his general day to day as like a someone trying to be a well-known rapper.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the funniest things I have ever watched. It's hilarious. So if you're looking for something very comical, go watch that. Highly
Hell yeah.
recommend it.
Okay. Cool. What's the
Um,
second?
Second one, if you're a little bit like me and you're like, oh, we're in a weird time, let's dive more into what that is. There's a Netflix docu-series out right now, which means that they released this, like started working on this before all of this coronavirus stuff happened. And it's called Pandemic. And like it literally goes into like trying like it goes into like talking about like, oh, what are the signs of a pandemic,
Oh
what
my
are
God.
things that we need to be careful of. And it's like it's crazy to watch now that this is all happening.
Yeah. I don't know. Like that one's like a scary one to recommend in a time like this, but I hear you. It
Yeah.
depends on like your ability to tackle the anxiety of the moment.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to give like two, just to like be like, okay, one's comical, one's serious.
Good balance.
Yeah. But if you're like me who loves to like feel not necessarily better, but like have a bit more reassurance of like that people are like studying this and
Yeah.
like taking the time to really look into how to solve these kind of crises, I highly recommend it.
Cool.
But,
I think that that's good that you balanced, that out. But I also think it's kind of important for like people to get educated. There are still people that do not think that this is a big deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Our age, older age, doesn't matter. There are just people that just do not want to realize how big of a situation this is. And that is frustrating because that's how this virus will continue to get spread. It will result in that terrible curve that we're all afraid of. And I am very worried about that happening. I'm going to tell you right now, like outside of going to the grocery store, as of today, I am going to try and not go to, any type of retail other than that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's only going to be if necessary, because I'm starting to realize I'm like, if we don't really take this seriously ourselves personally, that's going to be how this thing, it just it gets so much worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's all huddle. And I like to see that we are practicing that ourselves right now, doing this
indeed.
in this fashion.
Yeah.
But I do think that about wraps it up for this week's show, right? The conversation is never over yet. Email us at Worthy Watchers, or leave us a comment over on our Facebook or Twitter at Worthy Watchers, and let us know what you're thinking of the kind of like the current releases and the responses of all of our theater chains to this crazy pandemic that we're all under right now. Leave a review on your favorite podcast app. Let people know how we're doing. Let us know how we're doing, and spread the word. Because everybody talking about this, everybody getting together and just kind of appreciating what there is to appreciate right now, I think is going to be super important. So let's get the whole community together, and let's keep watching what's worthy.